This video is intended for educational purposes only. Everything presented is from my research and will be broadcasted in 90% accuracy. Also, anything that appears to be a weapon are props and aren't meant to be shown in a threatening manner. Viewer discretion is advised.
North Dallas, a place mostly made of quiet streets, shining storefronts, and manicured lawns. But just beyond the pristine image, there's a neighborhood everyone knows, and no one likes to talk about. Its name carries weight, whispered like a warning. Outsiders avoid it. Residents can't seem to escape it. Opposition gets fueled with rage from it, and for years it's been the source of chaos and hate that ripples through the entire city.
Right now I'm knee deep in that field. They done brought me out my shell. I give them hell, it ain't no chill. My little bro been at his top trying to put an op on Dallas drill. Throw that hot shit out that Glock, they catch a shots, we catch a kills. Hop out that car, show all my skills. If I don't, it's a waste of talent.
North Dallas, a side of town mainly known for lavish living and its luxuries. Fancy restaurants with valet parking at the door. Multi-million-dollar homes hidden behind gated entrances. Exclusive country clubs where the city's elite SEAL business deals over golf. It's a place that houses most of the 1% in all of Texas. This side of town has always been expensive, not just in price, but in history. For decades, it was shaped by redlining, designed to keep people of color and the less fortunate away from its many amenities. The borders were clear, and the message was even clearer. Some were welcome, others were not. But that started to shift in the mid-1900s. Black residents in Dallas slowly began to find openings into certain North Dallas communities. Hamilton Park, the 1800 Hall Street projects, North Park, and the 2600 Maple Street projects. These weren't the manicured estates North Dallas was famous for, but they were footholds. Communities carved out within a city that didn't want to give them space. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, change came again, and this time, it came fast. Some North Dallas neighborhoods began to lower housing costs. Section 8 vouchers were accepted in areas that had once been off limits. What followed was another wave of migration northward, this time even larger. Northwest Dallas saw it, Lake Highlands saw it. The streets changed. New residents, new cultures, new struggles. But with that change came tension. Over time, crime and gang activity found their way into certain pockets. For most neighborhoods, it was a slow creep. For one community, it was like a sudden storm. Around Forest Lane and Lake Highlands, things started to shift in a way that couldn't be ignored. Fights at bus stops, police lights flashing in the distance at all hours. Whispers of crews forming, claiming blocks, carving territory. And in the middle of it all, an identity started to take shape. Something locals would talk about in hushed tones, something that spread by word of mouth until the name stuck. It was here, in this stretch of North Dallas, that the Nine was born. The Nine, a neighborhood tucked around Forest Lane and Audelia in Lake Highlands. On the surface, it doesn't look like the kind of place that makes headlines. Compared to most low-income hoods in Dallas, it looks cleaner. Streets lined with trees, apartment complexes with fresh paint and trimmed lawns. Just minutes away, million-dollar homes and upscale shopping. But appearances can be deceiving. The Nine has a reputation cemented over decades, one rooted in drug trafficking, violence, and a heavy gang presence. At its peak, it was home to some of Dallas's most recognizable gangs, the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, the Bounty Hunter Bloods, and the Treetop Pirates. What makes the Nine different from other Dallas hoods is its structure. Instead of single-family homes spread across blocks, it's made up mostly of apartment complexes and townhouses, all packed into a small area. This close proximity created an unusual environment, one where gang members, allies, and even rivals live side by side. From this environment came smaller subsets, cliques that operated under the bigger gang umbrellas, but had their own rules and rivalries. Two of these became especially prominent, YTS and SOS. To outsiders, those letters might mean nothing, but in the Nine, they held weight. YTS is a predominantly African-American gang with a few Hispanic members, and they operate mainly out of the Bent Creek apartments. Within YTS, there are smaller subsets that carry their own identities and influence, YGN and NPA. The gang's top members are JB Strapped, Huncho, Tyon aka Vanessa, Sack, Jemoni, Babo, 4Baby, and Jack. Like any gang, YTS has rivals. Their conflicts with crews like OTG, PG6K, Jug Team, KAO, and 2K are known across Dallas. But the most dangerous disputes are not with these outside crews. The deadliest beefs are with former friends, groups that YTS once considered allies. These include the Certified Body Gang, CBG, based out of 13030 Apartments, which is in the same hood as YTS, and the No Trace Gang and AOF, which are Vice Lords and Bounty Hunter Bloods from Hamilton Park. SOS is another major clique based out of the Nine. SOS is diverse, with members from different backgrounds. While rooted in the Nine, they are also known to have a strong presence on Walnut Street, especially at the Richland Trace apartments. The main names tied to SOS are Nate So Slimy, Takeoff, D5, Bando, Buck, 2 Janky Cam, Leah the Slime, Tay, and Kamari. These members built the clique's reputation, both inside the Nine and across Dallas. SOS are closely linked with WWB, a crew nearby in Garland also located on Walnut Street, and AOA, another clique inside the Nine, based off Adelia Road. These alliances pull SOS deeper into the wars that surround the city. When it comes to rivals, SOS is almost at war with everyone. Their list of enemies is long, including Channel 4, YND, 2K, No Trace, and 800 Bori Gang. But out of all of these conflicts, 3 stand out as the deadliest. The first is with SOB, a clique based out of Americana Drive in Mesquite. The second with KAO, a crew from Skillman and Walnut Hill in North Dallas. And finally NSB, a renegade clique that started in far North Dallas around Spring Valley and Coit, before later migrating into Garland, also along Walnut Street. These rivalries are not just neighborhood disputes. They've spilled across Dallas, stretching into Garland and Mesquite. The Nine is already filled with tension and war. Add in these rivalries, alliances, and constant clashes, and what you get is a place where stories run wild through the streets. Tales of ambushes, shootouts, and betrayals spread quickly, carrying the weight of immediate danger. YTS and CBG weren't always enemies. They started out as friends, going to the same schools, hooping on the same courts, and even making music together. But by 2021, that bond began to fade. What started as small fights grew into threats, robberies, and eventually shootings. YTS made it clear they wanted all the smoke, calling out CBG every chance they got. The tension became undeniable when YTS dropped the track Get It Poppin', where they directly dissed CBG, promising a deadly war. The lyrics weren't just words, they manifested into reality. On August 28, 2021, in the 6-4 Ferguson hood of East Dallas, things escalated. YTS rappers Huncho and JB were allegedly plotting a lick on CBG affiliates, aiming to rob them for weapons. But the plan went wrong. A shootout broke out, bullets flying in every direction. In the chaos, Huncho was fatally struck. JB allegedly fled the scene, leaving his own brother-in-arms behind. The city felt the shock. Emotions were high, and the streets were buzzing. Violent tension lingered for months, and everyone knew another body would drop. That moment came on October 1st, 2021, just after 7:40 p.m. Dallas police responded to a shooting call in the 9800 block of Adelia Road in Walnut Hill. When they arrived, they found 20-year-old Trevon Joseph Quick, known as CBG Treco, lying in the parking lot of an apartment complex with a gunshot wound. Dallas Fire Rescue rushed him to a hospital, but Treco didn't survive. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The whispers on the street pointed to none other than YTS members JB Strapped and NPA 4Baby. Allegedly, they tracked Treco down, stalked the area, and when the moment came, unloaded on him until he was gone. The murder of CBG Treco enraged not only CBG, but also their allies in No Trace. The call for revenge spread quickly, and Dallas braced for the inevitable. Fast forward to April 18, 2023. At a Walmart in the Nine, infamous for assaults, thefts, and shootings, JB himself was spotted. As he walked to his vehicle, he was ambushed by AOF and No Trace affiliate, Baby 3. Baby 3 chased JB across the parking lot, but JB managed to grab his weapon and fire back. Gunshots rang out in the middle of the evening rush. In the crossfire, an innocent bystander was struck. Luckily, they survived and eventually made a full recovery. Baby 3 was later arrested for the shooting, but didn't stay behind bars for long. He was eventually released, leaving the feud wide open. The war between YTS, CBG, and their allies wasn't just about beef anymore. It had turned into a deadly cycle, where revenge had no expiration date, and the next shot could come at any time. Just like YTS, SOS wasn't always enemies with the crews they war with today. At one point, they were even cool with some of them, especially KAO, considered by many the younger generation of CBG. But that alliance fell apart. The tension began when Lil Vic, a KAO and 5K affiliate, allegedly stole from SOS. The theft didn't sit well, and it set off a chain of events that couldn't be undone. In retaliation, SOS member Tay assaulted Vic, who at the time was only 13 years old, slamming him against a vehicle. This wasn't supposed to happen. Lil T, a top member of KAO, had already warned Vic not to steal from SOS. He knew the consequences. It'll start a war, T had told him. And that's exactly what happened. From that moment, the bond between the two cliques was shattered. SOS and KAO were officially at war, and it was personal. Both sides began actively looking for each other, lurking daily, waiting for the right time to strike. One of the most vocal instigators on the KAO side was MBN Fuda, cousin of Lil T. Fuda posted multiple videos and photos of himself riding through SOS territory, daring them to respond. His trips to the Richland Trace Apartments, a known SOS stronghold, only fueled the fire. On one of those days, Fuda's luck nearly ran out. While passing through the 9, SOS members, along with their old allies, CTG, spotted him. Gunfire erupted. Shots rang out repeatedly in his direction. But somehow, Fuda escaped without a scratch. For KAO, this was too much to ignore. They couldn't let the attempt slide. Revenge had to be taken. Months later, the opportunity came. At a crowded pool party, JoJo, an AOA affiliate and known ally of SOS, was spotted by KAO members. They opened fire, unloading multiple rounds into him. JoJo went down, struck several times. At first, he was pronounced dead, but in one of the most shocking twists of the war, JoJo survived. Doctors were able to bring him back, and against all odds, he recovered from what should have been a fatal shooting. SOS wasn't only fighting their war with KAO. Another dangerous feud came from Mesquite, with a crew known as SOB, based off Americana Drive. This conflict wasn't born overnight, it was inherited. SOB had once been closely allied with YTA, a group already locked into a bitter feud with SOS. So when lines were drawn, SOB stood against them too. One of the most notorious incidents came when SOB rapper Lou 5 was charged with the shooting of Joseph Cisse, an AOA affiliate and close ally of SOS. Lou 5's name carried weight not only for that case, but also because he was reportedly tied to another shooting that took place in Deep Ellum, where 3 people were hit in the crossfire. By 2024, SOS was already in constant battles, back-to-back shootouts with rival cliques across Dallas. But what came next wasn't just another war story. It was a tragedy so ruthless, it left their whole set shaken. On March 22, 2024, SOS members Cam and Kamari were looking to trade Glock switches. Hungry to make a deal, they linked with 2 buyers, D, aka Yakuza, an OTS member tied to FBG Murda, and Junior from 4EP. The meetup was set for South Dallas on Dixon Circle. By 9 p.m., Cam and Kamari pulled into a corner store lot and waited. Minutes later, Yakuza and Junior slid into their car. At first, it seemed like a normal exchange. But then, boom. Out of nowhere, Yakuza pulled a gun and shot Kamari in the back of the head while he sat in the driver's seat. Cam tried to escape, but Junior cut him down before he could get away. The 2 shooters then staged the aftermath. They snapped multiple photos of Cam's body. Face down in a pool of blood, the passenger door left wide open. These weren't just for shock value, they were proof. No one knew the motive behind the shooting. Was Yakuza paranoid? Did Cam and Mari try to set him up? The public believed that for a year, but it was actually none of that. Word on the streets revealed the truth. SOS had been banned from South Dallas. No one knew exactly why, but the ban was clear. And it came with a bounty. Anyone who caught an SOS member slipping in the South could allegedly cash in on their head. Yakuza took that offer. He lured Cam and Kamari into a trap, knowing they had no clue what was coming. The photos served as receipts, proof the job was done. The shooters captured images from different angles. Up close, wide shots, even rooftop footage. The disrespect that followed was immediate and brutal. OTS sent the photos directly to SOS NSB, plastered them across social media, where they went viral in the Dallas drill scene. To top it off, MBN Futa and KAO filmed an entire music video at the death site, mocking the slain SOS members in every bar. The message couldn't have been louder. The city was against SOS. Their enemies didn't just want them gone. They wanted them humiliated, erased, and turned into trophies. As 2024 dragged on and into early 2025, the war around the 9 didn't slow down. SOS members were getting picked off the streets left and right. Some arrested, some released but stuck on papers, forced to move more carefully. But no matter how many of them were locked up, their opposition never stopped hunting. On April 18th, 2025, the violence reached a breaking point. That evening, at the Casa Del Mar apartments on Walnut Street in Garland, gunfire erupted around 6:30 p.m. When police arrived, they found carnage. 4 people shot, a 3-year-old child, a 15-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 42-year-old. All rushed to the hospital. 3 would survive, 1 would not. The 15-year-old victim, pronounced dead at the hospital, wasn't just anybody. He was 13030 Lil Fat, a rising member of WWB and SOS. His death hit hard. Lil Fat wasn't just another casualty. He was young, only beginning to step deeper into the streets. But according to investigators, the shooters were linked to NSB, one of SOS's most dangerous enemies. NSB's reputation was already infamous. They were the ones allegedly behind the triple shooting at a Texaco, also on Walnut Street, a brazen attack that left 2 WWB members, Trap and Rafa, dead, along with an innocent bystander named Xavier. That shooting was so shocking it made national headlines, landing on America's Most Wanted and covered by YouTuber 1090 Jake, cementing NSB's name in the Dallas drill scene. Now with Lil Fat's death, the cycle of retaliation was spinning again. Another young life taken, another family broken, and another reason for the streets to stay lit with violence. By late 2025, SOS had returned to the streets of Dallas, rebuilding their presence after arrests and setbacks. Determined to reclaim their name, they quickly made noise, putting in work to avenge the lives lost while they were locked down. But with their return came cracks, this time not from rivals but from within. Their alliance with YTS, once unshakable, began to collapse. SOS members felt used, believing they carried the weight of shootings while YTS benefited without appreciation. The tension only deepened when YTS was spotted cozying up with OTS, the very crew tied to the deaths of Cam and Mari. For SOS, that was betrayal. The feud turned personal, with SOS directing anger toward YTS member Vanessa. One night on Plano Road in North Dallas, Vanessa was spotted at a corner store with a girl. SOS followed his vehicle, ready to strike, but somehow he escaped. That close call was a symbol of the deeper fracture. The 9th, long considered the most hated hood in Dallas, was now tearing itself apart. Enemies no longer needed to bring them down. The war had turned inward. What was once an alliance built on survival and dominance had rotted into distrust and resentment. Now, even as they fight the city, SOS finds themselves fighting their own. And that's the story of the 9, a hood defined by betrayal, revenge, and endless war, where even allies can become enemies, and where sometimes the deadliest battles are fought at home.